And welcome, Destiny Christian Church, to Destiny Devo. In just a few minutes, maybe 5 minutes, just a quick word, a quick scripture for you. And even though this scripture that I'm reading to you is not quick because it's heavy duty, Matthew 7:13 says this. It says, "Enter through the narrow gate, for the gate is wide and the road is easy that leads to destruction, and there are many who take it. For the gate is narrow and the road is hard that leads to life, and there are few who find it." And this scripture is kind of when you read it, it's almost discouraging. It's like, wow, how do I do that, right? And I'm going to temper it in a minute, but first, let me read a couple of comments that I came across from one of my commentaries. I have 60 commentaries, maybe more. I never read them all because there's too many, but I like to know the crux of what is happening. The like a diamond. I like every facet. But it says Jesus in this paragraph implicitly recognizes the difficulty of putting into practice his teachings, likening it to a narrow gate and a constricted road with few who manage to find it. As this paragraph is the first of a number of challenges for the disciples to put Jesus' teachings into practice, the analogy is that putting Jesus' teachings into practice is actually done by few people and is difficult. And he goes on to say Jesus commands his disciples to enter that narrow gate and explains that the opposite of the narrow gate is the broad gate that leads to destruction, right? So I want to temper that, because whenever I've read that through the years, I always said, Lord, how are we going to do that? That is really hard, because it sounds like you have to be perfect to know God, and you have to be sinless, and you have to just never do anything wrong. And one thing that I've been reading, I'm rereading this one book twice because I liked it so much and I felt like it was so deep that I had to reread it, because some books are not light. You can't just zip through them. And it's a book by T. Austin Sparks called The School of Christ. And he says in the book that one of the very first lessons that we have to learn, and he gives you a couple, but the first one is, man, Jesus is so different than me, and I'm so different than Jesus, that it's almost like we're opposites. And Jesus is so far from me that how could I ever even get to him and be with him and be right in his eyes? But here's the second one. The second one was that as you let Jesus live in you, as you let him inhabit your heart, and as he becomes more and more in you, so that you become less and less, he will get it done. That you don't have to worry about this sin or this imperfection or that imperfection. That if Jesus is in you, he's going to do it, not you. Because there's nothing in you, there's nothing in me that could ever be righteous or ever do anything good. The only thing good in you, the only thing good in me is God. So I want to encourage you that this narrow gate leads to this constricted road of impossibility. But if I have Jesus in me, and he's with me, and he's teaching me his ways, and he's transforming me, then I will go through that gate by his grace. And thank God, be encouraged by that thought, because often we strivers, I tend to be a striver. We tend to think that the only way to do this, to get this done, this thing called Christianity, is by just trying really hard, just trying to be real good and never failing and never doing these things or that things. And yet God doesn't ever demand anything of you unless he's going to do it through you. All we have to do, our job is to believe that Jesus is going to do it, to know that even though I'm struggling with this sin here or that thought there or that doubt there, he's going to take care of it because he loves me that much. And there's nothing that I can do that can earn it. All I have to do is surrender, is to give him my life and say, Lord, you do it because I can't, and I will do what you tell me to do. And we have to obey him. Don't get me wrong. It's not this passive thing where he just does it for me and I can just go on living as I please. No, he's going to change you in the process. That's what chastening is about, right? Chastening in the scriptures is a word that in the Greek means schooling. That he's bringing you to school and he's putting you to the paces. So be encouraged that the Lord is with you. And remember to check out new podcasts and check out Lori's podcast. It's wonderful. And she always has a relevant word. And so as we do these, remember, if you're watching this and you haven't been back to church, come back, right? We miss you. And we have people who watch who have never met, and so glad to be with you. So next time, God bless you and take care.